Unfiltered. Like you're in another world, like you zoned out. You know what I'm saying?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unfiltered. I'm your host, Georgii Speakman, and I am delighted to welcome today's guest, Peggy O'Flaherty, who is a very accomplished entrepreneur who has leveraged technology to drive innovation and impact within the thriving startup ecosystem. Peggy has successfully facilitated 3 exits, which is incredible. Congratulations, Peggy. That's amazing. From one parish through to Mavely, and now is serving as the founder and CEO of Vinley, which is an AI-powered conversation platform, redefining how communities connect. Further, Peggy is one of my co-authors on this fabulous book. You got to go and obviously get yourself a copy. The AI Revolution, Thriving Within Civilization's Next Big Disruption book. So we're going to discuss with Peggy her chapter and how she's arrived at where she is today, an expert in building innovative and future-driven communities. So welcome to the show, Peggy.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me, Dre.
Oh, of course, of course. It's been a wild little ride and journey, obviously, launching into this co-author initiative. So delighted to have connected with you. Before we get into any aspect of the book and your chapter and everything that you're up to, tell us a little bit about Vinley, where you're at now, and what really inspired that as a follow-on from your 2 other core endeavors.
I was really inspired after having built a social media platform focused on everyday influencers. I wanted to continue on that path with leveraging social media in a new way, focus on more conversations around the things that matter in my mind, the things that matter the most in the world so that we can make a bigger impact. I think there's a lot of important topics that we need to address and that focuses around our communities. I think we're living in a world that there's a lot of loneliness, and sometimes social media can be overwhelmed with consumerism and content. I wanted to address that issue, and I think it starts with conversations and connections.
I love that. And I couldn't agree more. Obviously, mainstream media has been covering the fact that, how healthy, unhealthy is obviously the mainstream social media channels. Where are we going? How is it impacting mental, emotional, and just like physical well-being and health? And of course, what are we doing about it? And for those that aren't necessarily able to, I guess, control their own relationship to social media, it often being quite addictive and spiking dopamine and all those things, it can be obviously challenging for a lot of people, to your point, in being able to find genuine, authentic and aligned community. And as a foreigner with family back in Australia, I can relate to like that place and sort of like that situation. And so I love that you're doing that. And I imagine that whole trajectory obviously inspired your wonderful chapter, which is a journey building authentic communities with innovation. Here it is here, everybody. And so there were a few bits and pieces that you referenced, Peggy, that really resonated with me, such as in a world where billions of connections are just a click away, why do so many people still feel isolated? And that you've been a mother of 5 teenagers, and you're also the youngest of 10. So I guess what does community look like to and for you to date? And have you always been obviously community driven as a result of your background, or have there been other influences that you've experienced that have led you to obviously establish those other companies historically as well?
Actually, every company that I have built has had an element of community. So it's all been very community-centric. And then leveraging technology around community and around brands. And then the technology has been for greater reach. So obviously, being the youngest of 10, I was living in a community of sorts, right? I grew up in a neighborhood that was a very connected community. I grew up in a church that was a very connected community. I grew up in a school that was very hyper connected family community kind of environment. So community has always been something that has been really important to me. And even the last company, our mission was to get more moms back to the dinner table.
Mm,
So the
mm,
whole core of the company was like, but let's build a company so we can empower moms who were focused on the gig economy, um, disrupting kind of like the traditional influencer marketing, giving moms an opportunity to unleash social media in a way that they could empower themselves
mhm.
to promote the brands they love, giving themselves the freedom to unlock social media and promoting their favorite brands, and more time to be spending time with their children, doing what they love, helping with homework and cooking their favorite meals and being with their children. So, focusing on community and family has always been my priority. So I just want to take that
Perfect.
to another level by enabling conversations faster with the right types of connections so that we can solve some of the world's biggest problems. And
And,
we need to do that at scale right now.
yes, yes, great. And to Vinley's point, with the being empowered with and by AI, how does Vinley, just for the listeners here, truly differ from mainstream social media platforms by way of functionality, technologically, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Well, isn't it fun, right? We were so lucky to be included in this book. And from a worldwide perspective, I think when we were invited into this book at the time, there was something like 40 authors and maybe 5 women, all of us from different continents, right?
Mm,
Like
mm,
all over the world. And each one of us covering very different topics on AI. I was thrilled because I think I was the only one really covering specifically how we're going to address community and community
mm,
around conversations.
mhm.
And so if you look at something like WhatsApp, which is a very effective international chat platform, I agree. I think it's great. I do not think it covers safety and privacy in the way that I would like to handle it and around topics that I think need to be addressed. So
Mhm,
I would like to be able to help affordable housing, homelessness, poverty,
mhm,
human trafficking,
mhm.
some big
All
topics.
the yes, all the big topics.
Right. In addition to just other things like there are nonprofits that need some better support, there are also just enterprise clients that need some support with the work that they're doing as well. Cross collaboration. So, right now, we're not necessarily helping enterprise clients, although we do talk to some enterprise clients about our solution as well. Um, we are really focused on cross collaboration, specifically a lot of nonprofits, a lot of religious organizations, a lot of alumni associations, helping pair students with alumni for mentorships, projects, internships, and job opportunities. So if you look at universities where they have 175,000 alumni, there are a lot of tools out there today to help with that, but
Yes,
they're not leveraging AI to pair the
yes.
right student with the right alumni.
Mhm.
And Vinley does that really well. So
Excellent.
where we're using the AI is in the algorithm to pair the right individuals. So networking in a far better way to enter into the chat to have the conversation that matters
Mhm,
faster.
mhm.
So we're leveraging AI to match the right people faster, to have the conversation faster in a safe and private way.
I love that, and that is a brilliant and much needed mission. So, congratulations again on Binley. I'm curious, and I'm sure the listeners are as well. How did you first discover AI? What was your relationship with it? I find that, and I don't know about you, but so many of my friends obviously use a lot of the basics of AI, like ChatGPT and some others, and weave in AI, whether it's like Gemini and email creation, other bits and pieces, like platforms like Canva for asset generation from a design perspective. But what was your journey into AI? Because I feel that, and you've touched on it in your chapter as I did about some of the fear around it and where to get started, because there is just such a resistance half the time. It's like very polarized. It's like a, night and day, dark light. It's like people are pro or con AI. What was your journey into it? And tell us all about that and your perspective on it sort of holistically and the value of it.
I will. That's a great question. So, in the year that ChatGPT came out, I was out for dinner with my children, and they were talking about their teachers and the fact that they were not supposed to be using ChatGPT at school. And I was like, I have no idea what you're even talking about, because I was in the process of trying to sell my last company. And when you are in a startup and you're at the process of selling, you get so in a hole that I wasn't even looking at anything else in the world at that moment. And so I kind of lifted my eyes up from what was going on to look at AI. And I was like, okay, there's a whole nother world going on. I got to pay attention. So my kids started really educating me on this, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So I jumped right in and started spending 10 minutes a day on everything about AI, and I was hooked. So I'm like,
Yes.
okay, great. My next business, I need to figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
So when we first started building Vinley, of course, I was using ChatGPT like everybody else. And then I got into the next level of ChatGPT and Gemini and everything else. And I was doing like everybody else, that I would literally go into my refrigerator and just say, I want to plan my meals for the entire week, plan my entire groceries based on, I want healthy food, high protein, low sugar, plan my groceries, plan my meals. I mean, I was using it for everything. So I was integrating
Incredible.
it in every aspect of my life and loving it.
And it's one thing, just real quick, it's one thing remembering to even do that, like remembering to even integrate it into so many different components to your life. So congratulations for doing that, because some people still see it very much as a separate part of themselves or work or day to day. But you've obviously done a very good job at finding ways to integrate it in as many capacities as possible.
Right. Well, Georgie, I don't know about you, but I had written the entire book on the audio of ChatGPT in my car. So I
Excellent.
was talking to ChatGPT like chapter by chapter, saying, I don't like the way that chapter 4 sounds. Let's talk it through a little bit more. So we were talking it through.
Brilliant.
I talked to my ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that level. But then when we started building Vinley, again, Vinley is a chat. Vinley is a Vine where humans chat, not
Love
AI.
it.
Vinley is a Vine where humans chat, and the AI does the heavy lifting to make our lives easier. Okay, so we wanted the AI in the background. So we have AI agents and an AI studio and AI metrics to help make our lives easier, so we connect faster with like a vector database, and the visualization of the data and the pairing and the algorithms, so that our community building and efficiencies is 10 times faster.
Excellent.
We're
Brilliant.
also using AI. So my partner and I can build a 10x company with 2 people.
Brilliant.
So we are going to be able to build a $1 billion company, hopefully with 2 people. Okay.
Excellent.
A startup typically in the past was, you would need 20, 30 people
Oh, yeah.
to build a sales force. So
Right.
we are really automating our sales force. We're automating our sales and our marketing. We're automating our tech and our development with 2 people right now. So we're using a lot of AI in the way we're building the infrastructure of our business. The other thing is that we're going to start to layer in the AI, so people can not only talk to people, but people can start to talk to agents to have some productivity tools. So if you're talking to me, right, because we have a relationship and we're trying to solve a problem about how to get a book published, you might also want to talk to an AI agent who can help you streamline your social media. Or you may want to talk to an AI agent who can help you create a marketing piece. So we're going to start to layer in agents into Vinley to help you as a productivity tool. Eventually, I see that there will be agents talking to agents as a next evolution of
Yes.
Vinley. So that's where it's going to go to answer your question. So it started off, my children were teaching me, I integrated it into my life. We wrote the book, and now I'm building out the platform.
That is absolutely brilliant, and I love that. I think that future trajectory of Vinley is fire. It's going to have tremendous success, and it's also much needed. For those that might be a little bit greener, that are listening, that are aspiring, female entrepreneurs and all the rest. How would you break down what AI agents are? Obviously, there are horizontal, vertical. There's a whole range of different sort of AI agents. Do you mind, from your perspective, explaining what an AI agent is and it's sort of the types of functionalities it can have?
Okay, every single person listening to your call, if you have a website, if you're an author, if you're an influencer, if you have a business card or you have a LinkedIn profile, and anyone comes to you and asks you a question, and you have a frequently asked question about your business, I can build you an AI agent in a matter of 10 minutes. Okay. It can simply handle your FAQs. So imagine you wrote a book, and we can build you an AI agent that can take all the information from your book or your chapter and basically handle your FAQ. The
Yeah,
AI
it's
agent
crazy.
can answer and interact with your book, but then also build community around your book. So I'll give you a real life example. So, Georgie, say you're doing a speaking engagement, or we do this podcast and somebody listens and they're like, well, I want to ask some questions about that. They could simply scan a QR code or a link after this or after your speaking engagement, right? And maybe they don't want to go read the whole chapter or the whole book, but they could scan the QR code or scan a link, and then they could start chatting with the AI agent and interact as an experience with the chapter and pull out what they'd like to learn. And they're falling into a community talking with the agent where you or I can interrupt and engage with them. Now, if you or I are on vacation for the next week and we don't have time to stop, the AI agent will continue to interact worldwide with that human, right? And then attend to them as soon as we can get back to them. But the thing is that when we're on vacation, when we're traveling, we can still grow and scale our businesses. Nothing has to stop. And our AI
That's
agent can
right.
be our companion and our
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
So that's what an AI agent can do. Anybody that used to think these were bots, that's what it used to be. But
Right.
now Vinley can build an AI agent for people, and that becomes your community to assist you while you're busy.
Yes.
That's what we do.
It's brilliant. And I can't tell you how many female, entrepreneurs that may have a side hustle and be working full time, but are really invested in the future of their own entrepreneurship. What platforms would you recommend for a lot of these, individuals, anyone, to get started on how to build an AI agent? So understanding it's one thing. Where would they go to actually start building it? And what advice would you have around prompting? How deep to go with prompting, framing the right language, all that kind of stuff?
Again, that's the very top of what we do at Vinley. So we build you an AI agent, and that's how you build your community. I probably need to get better at my messaging.
No. This is brilliant. So in other
No,
words,
so
go to
that's no,
Vinley
so
and just literally download and start working with Vinley today,
yeah,
in order to learn how to basically build
yeah.
your first agent.
So what we're finding is that on people's websites, they'll have at the very top of their website, they'll say, "Ask us anything." So we scrape your website or your deck or your informational material, and so we can help people interact with your website, interact with your marketing material in a new creative way. But then they fall into a community as kind of top of funnel lead gen,
Yeah.
right? So if you're an influencer or you have a website or if you have a book or if you are providing any kind of a service and people are falling in as a potential customer, it's kind of like we can help make it a little stickier. Now they may not buy right away, but at least now you have someone that they placed eyeballs on your product, and they may need, that's like touch number one. And you can then engage with them And over time, you get them to convert or keep them interested or educate them over time. But at least they're curious, they're interested, they want to engage with you. But more importantly than that, I think, is that they saw something about you, whatever. It's like maybe they heard your song. If you're an artist, they heard your song and they're interested. So they want to engage with the artist, the musician, right? They not only want to engage with the musician, they also want to engage with all the other people listening to that song.
Yes, of course.
So what we're trying to
Seatability.
do is like, as somebody engages with the consumer, they want to engage with the other people in that community. So
Mhm.
this is where I'm still working on messaging around this product. It's not just about the community, it's about everybody in the community having
Sure.
conversation. So
Yeah,
Vinley starts by building the AI agent and then building people into community around the community.
that's brilliant. Yeah.
That's what
And
we
then
do.
I guess in individuals and brands, businesses, whether it's an SMB or what have you, can benefit from, yeah, the lead generation portion, ongoing visibility and all the rest. How do they then capture a lot of that either data, or how would you be advising also brand, these are two different questions, advising brands on how to best leverage as a best practice, the likes of Vinley, for example?
Yeah. So honestly, I think this is where my kids think I'm the biggest nerd in the entire world. The way, honestly, I think our biggest differentiator, the way that we're visualizing the data for the brand or the community builder, our real customer, the way that we're visualizing the data of how all the people are building in the community, the metrics behind the interactions. Now it's all private, right? So everybody having conversations is all private. We can't see any
Mhm.
conversations, and a brand or the community builder can't see people's private conversations. But the way that they're interacting, the metrics around it are
Mm,
beautiful because
yeah.
communities are an organic breathing
Yeah.
thing, right? They're living. We're
Mm,
human beings.
mhm,
It's like a
mhm.
it's like a somebody said to me, they're like, Peggy, that's like Matrix. It's like
Yes, yes, it
this. It's
is.
like a
It is.
moving thing. It's so beautiful. And I can't quite explain it. Again, I need a really brilliant marketing person to help me really articulate it because we're still new. Um, but the visual, the way the dynamics of the metrics behind the matrix or whatever is quite spectacular. And this is what AI allows us, right? It allows us to see the visuals that are being tapped into of how people are connecting. So
I
what's
love
happening
that.
is very organically, we're
Yes.
connecting with thousands of people
Yes.
faster than I could have ever, like this company is growing faster than any company I've ever built.
Yes, because of the state of play that we're in.
Yeah. So Georgie, it's really exciting. So thank you for even giving me this opportunity to chat with you.
Oh my God, of course. I'm just like revisiting your chapter because I had underlined quite a few things. Some of it we've sort of already, um, a lot of it we've already touched on, but I mean, I love that you value community to the extent that you do. The other uh, thing to consider is obviously ongoing curation. Like curation's been a big word within the concept of community. I know that like I open up my WhatsApp, for example, and I'm part of, I don't know how it's happened, but so many different bloody community chats through WhatsApp. I've actually had to mute all of them, all of them, because it's overwhelming and I can't just engage all day, every day, read everybody's content, and I don't have the time to weed out what's relevant to me and what's not. So I mute a lot of chats, community chats that I'm on, even ones in my own community that I was actually responsible for starting on the likes of GroupMe. So what advice do you have around curation and the perspective around curation and the value add in sort of knowing how to manage and monitor a lot of this stuff? Because you've said, AI goes beyond its ability to write an email, crunch data, and automate tasks. Its promise lies in its capacity to bring people together in ways that foster collaboration, innovation, and empathy. I 1,000% agree. But how do we better curate, and how can we possibly better leverage AI to even curate?
Well, Georgie, when it's it is challenging to get people to switch new platforms, right?
Yeah.
I never thought I myself would switch off a Gmail or my daily calendar. And I can't tell you how many people are now starting their day and spending their entire day in Vinley because I don't. My text messages are now only for my children. I don't go to Gmail because Gmail is filled with noise, right?
Mhm.
Everything is like all these other like stuff from like people that are trying to sell me stuff. So Gmail has all this noise, and I don't have to go to my calendar anymore because I have everything on Vinley. So I open up Vinley, and it basically has the calendar of things I have to do and the chats I have to be involved in, and it blends together my Gmail, my Slack, my ChatGPT, and my LinkedIn connections.
Yeah. So
So it's
speaking of curation, we've just really hit the nail on the head with Vinley, basically.
I know, and I know it sounds like I'm overpromising, but the reality is like what we try to do is reduce and cut out noise
Yes.
and narrow down. So it did take a little bit of time for me to like retrain my network to say, this is where I'm going to communicate. But what it did do is it forced me to be far more efficient. So I get in
Right.
and
I love that.
so what it did do is like think about the fact that many of us have 2,000 to 5,000 connections of people that were wasting time that I didn't need. And then I'm now talking to the people I absolutely have to talk to every single day
Right.
that
Yep.
are what I'm doing is I'm focused on action and results
Mm-hmm.
and not talking to people that like responding to emails and texts that I didn't need to be responding to.
Yeah.
And so, but it's not just me, it's several of my investors. It's all these people that I was doing business. They're like, my day is getting far more efficient. We also have all these like warm introductions. People are like, Peggy, this warm introduction feature is saving me 3 hours a week because the
Incredible.
AI
I
is
love
writing
that.
the emails.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, and then it's like, if I have 2,000 people in my LinkedIn network, there's only like maybe 50 that I would actually go for coffee with.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes,
so
we've
it's like,
accumulated so many bloody
I've had so
connections
many
over the
people tell me,
years.
I'd like to rebuild my network
Oh, yeah,
with like
totally.
the people that I know I
Mm-hmm.
would actually pick up the phone for.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So the reality is, I know it seems daunting to think like, I think I need to start over with the people that I actually know that I trust.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
the reality is, many people who are maybe have been in business for 20 or 30 years feel that way. And
Yes,
a
I
lot of
do.
younger people are saying, I don't know that I would even use LinkedIn if
Right.
they're
Yeah,
in their
that's
early
right.
20s. So I think a lot of people felt like there was mistrust with some of our current platforms. And quite frankly, some of our current platforms had not been disrupted in several years. So I felt like some of our current platforms were ripe for disruption. And so I am here to do it.
Oh, I love that, Peggy. You're solving for such a huge problem because I often say, like, 20 years ago, LinkedIn was such a tremendous tool because you could just suddenly reach out to all these people and they would respond, and it wasn't just filled with bots and all the salesy stuff and all the rest. And obviously, your community was smaller at the time. And to your point, well, so for me, I turn off and silence all of my notifications, and to your point, say about Gmail, I block any and every email that comes through that is a sales or phishing or whatever email, so they never return again. And I do not subscribe to a lot of things, if many or any things at all, so that whenever I'm looking and searching for certain information, super super intentional, I tap in or log into Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn or whatever platform it is, maybe a WhatsApp group me, you name it, at my leisure, and I give it X amount of time per day. So between what I'm just saying and what you've just shared, I guess the point is that people have to have a conscious awareness of what their goals are, right? Like, would you advise them on getting really, really clear on their strategy? And it actually comes back down to good old classic time management and awareness so that you can actually get the most out of these platforms and maximize them. But to Vinley's point, consolidate and curate so that you can actually get the best out of what it is that you need and out of your day. Because a lot of people, you look at their phones, they've got 14,563 unread bloody emails. I'm like, how has that happened? I have no notifications. Like I have a clean email box with anywhere between like up to 100 emails, and those are live conversations everything else gets filed away or blocked or removed or deleted. But how, so maybe give some advice around, if you wouldn't mind, on some strategies as to how to manage a lot of these platforms, notifications, and places that people are living community wise.
Yeah, well, that's a great question. I mean, first of all, I mean, I think business in general, it's overwhelming, right? I
It
mean, it's
is
very, very,
really,
very, very overwhelming to juggle as much as we're all trying to juggle on any given day. So I find notifications extremely distracting.
yes. Oh, me too. Can't stand them.
So I have to turn notifications off. I
Totally.
have to block my calendar. I
Yeah.
intentionally have to like turn my phone over,
Hmm.
you know, and put it away and
Yeah.
block, so I block my calendar. I do all those types of like strategies in general. I have very specific KPIs and OKRs for my day and for my, personal and professional. So all of those things are necessary. As it relates to AI, I would absolutely encourage every one of your listeners to be spending 10 or 15 minutes a day educating themselves on AI,
Hmm.
to have some resources beyond our book, but some newsletters that they're following that fall into their inbox that are educating themselves on AI
Hmm.
in their industry, across industries, on how they're going to implement AI into their workflow
Yes.
personally and professionally.
Yes.
So I would be educating themselves daily,
Hmm.
because if you are in construction, if you are in healthcare, and if you are not adopting AI, you will lose.
I agree. I've been saying it
This is
for
this is going to
a
happen.
while.
So I would that would be the biggest strategy that I think people have to understand. Um and this idea that like every single company has AI in various forms. So it's no
Yes.
longer like we're leveraging AI. That should be obvious,
Obvious.
right?
100%.
Like
Yeah.
that company Builder AI that went out of business is like, uh, okay. I mean, that obviously that was scary enough that they faked whatever they were faking, and that any investors fell for that. That's scary, but um, you can't use buzzwords anymore.
Right.
You have to
And,
back it up, right? So
yes. So for the last decade plus, going on nearly probably 15 years, we've seen I mean, you mentioned it earlier, the proliferation of the gig economy, the DIY, the micro learning space. And AI is a bit like that. You have to really, I mean, it's like a form of taking complete ownership and accountability and responsibility over your own journey. You can't just sit back and going, FAI, AI, I don't want to be a part of it. It's, it's doomsday or whatever. It really is a form of proactive learning. And if you're passionate about self-education and self-development and self-work and evolving your own skill set, then you would be taking the time to invest in AI and to level up in that capacity. So thank you so much for sharing. We could talk for hours. I know that. I'm very excited to delve a little bit more into Vinley. I'm going to keep this interview series short and sweet. All the female authors of, again, the AI revolution, please go out and grab yourself your own copy via Amazon. It's available just currently it's available globally, but in soft and hard copy at the moment, not audio just yet, but I think we're getting there. So again, Peggy O'Flaherty's chapter is chapter 21, A Journey Building Authentic Communities with Innovation. So obviously, if you're into community, whether you're running a health and wellness business, into fitness, run a brand, anything, you need to know about Peggy and Vinley. So again, stay tuned on all things Peggy. We will link all of her business links and all the things, social media, in this interview. So any final thoughts or words, Peggy, before we wrap up today's little conversation?
yeah, and if you have, again, if you are looking to build AI agents, to build your community, to build customer loyalty, you can go to Vinley, you can build a community, you can play with it. It's free. We're not really looking to charge right now. We do have some paying clients. We're only really starting to charge either a $29 or a $199 as you get very active, as your clients are starting to engage, as your consumers starting to engage. Once you get to like more of a, large users on the platform, but anybody can get in there and start playing around with it. Call me. You can call our customer support. We can help you. We just really want to get people in there using it, playing with it, or message us with any questions or concerns. So, Georgie, I'd be happy to help.
Yes, we love it. Thank you so much again. We appreciate everybody for listening and tuning in today. Stay tuned for some other conversations with the incredible female authors of the AI revolution. And thank you again, Peggy. We shall see you soon, and stay unfiltered, everybody. Keep that journey of self-learning and AI growth going. As you heard from Peggy, 10 to 15 minutes a day should do it.
Thank you.
Unfiltered. Like in another world, like you zone out. You know what I'm saying?